A shame I liked that painting. If you were able to admire it now, amidst the rubble and the rising smoke of the Selkith stronghold, you would have seen my mother wearing a blue silk dress with an amethyst brooch on the shoulder. The cloth was pleated and delicately folded through the silver fastener, such that when draped over her chest, it would fan out and ripple like the deepest parts of the ocean. It came with a white corset and a lace lining, lotus patterns mirrored in spiraling vines. The shapes and details were simplified in that painting for the sake of the artist's sanity, but you could tell that it was the dress of a queen. I was 10 when I first saw it. Now at 22, I am wearing it. I fastened the amethyst brooch with trembling fingers while the screams began outside. I cinched the corset until my ribs groaned, the sharp pressure a welcome anchor while the world outside fell apart. I have watched 400 men die in the last 30 minutes. The Selkith was a stronghold built by my great-granduncle, a paranoid man who loved stone more than people. It bore 2 outer walls at different elevations, 50 ballistae capable of launching iron bolts 400 meters, and 6 towers. It was a citadel of death, and yet, looking out the narrow arrow slit of the southwestern tower, I watched the northern tower dissolve. It did not crumble, it was erased. The architect of this devastation was a living shadow against the moon, a creature of such impossible, terrible geometry that my mind reeled trying to comprehend it. It crouched like a rabbit before leaping toward the night sky with wings that spanned the heavens. Ballista bolts chased it, futile needles thrown at a god. It defied the engineering of mortal weaponry. It reached down from the sky and razed the land with fire that burned not orange, but a blinding, chemical white. I knew I was going to die. That was why I wore the dress. If I was to be ash, I wanted to be beautiful ash. I wanted to look like the mermaid princess I believed my mother to be, not the neglected daughter of a king who used me as a political bargaining chip in a province he barely remembered. The plan had been simple: hide in a random tower. Probability was my shield, 1 in 6. Then the dragon destroyed the north tower, 1 in 5. The eastern tower fell next, crumbling into the ravine with a sound like the earth cracking open, 1 in 4. I sat on the floor, the blue silk pooling around me, waiting. I had a bottle of perfume in my hand, a gift from a gray-bearded general I was supposed to marry. I never opened it. I held it like a grenade. The air pressure in the room dropped, my ears popped. The silence that followed was heavier than the screaming. With a sound like tearing canvas, the roof of my chamber was ripped away. Moonlight flooded in, followed instantly by the massive, heat-radiating bulk of a head larger than a carriage. I looked up, paralyzed, the perfume bottle slipping from my sweat-slicked palm to shatter on the stone. The scent of gardenias and heavy musk exploded into the air, a fragile, feminine scent at war with the sulfur and ruin. A full-grown dragon looked down at me. It was obsidian black, its scales absorbing the light rather than reflecting it. Its eyes were molten gold, vertical slits that dilated as they locked onto me. It did not roar. It breathed, a wet, rasping sound that vibrated in my chest cavity. I did not move. I was a statue in blue silk. It lowered its head, the heat from its nostrils singeing the stray hairs on my forehead. I saw the intelligence in those golden eyes, cruel, ancient, and undeniable. It was not an animal. It was a calamity with a mind. "Princess," a voice rumbled, not spoken, but felt in the marrow of my bones. It reared back, and for a second I thought the fire was coming. I closed my eyes, waiting for the flash. Instead, a grip of impossible strength seized the tower. Talons as thick as tree trunks crushed stone and glass, and the floor beneath me tilted violently. I screamed as I slid, silk tearing on rough masonry, my fate sealed not by fire but by a chilling, deliberate capture. The world dropped away. I was in the air, clamped against a chest hard as diamond, the city of Selkith shrinking into a burning ember below. We were rising, higher into the freezing dark, leaving the war, the dead men, and my life behind.
Want to keep the flame ignited without having to wait for the next part? You can find the full, tantalizing tale on our main page. See the link in the description.